So what I'm going to go through with you today is obviously where to go and get that information and what you can expect from that information as you go and source it. Because at some stage in your life you may experience a bushfire, you may have already experienced a bushfire, but every single one of them is a little bit different. Every single one of them will react in a little bit different way, so it's important to note that what you may have experienced last time and what you think might happen again won't always be the case. So just quickly, the Rural Fire Service, we actually have more than 73,000 members, and of those 73,000 members, as many of you are probably aware, are volunteers. So they are all volunteer firefighters giving up their time, and already speaking with a number of you in the room, some of you will have family members involved, some of you will have friends involved, and we have, I guess, tentacles right across the state that some of you may even actually be involved with. And we provide that fire protection for 95% of New South Wales. It's more than bush and grass fires. We do structure fires, storm damage, search and rescue, motor vehicle accidents, community education, bushfire mitigation. Now just quickly, the two bigger events that occur in New South Wales are going to be bushfires at this time of year, but also storm and tempest. So storms and flood damage, the SES are going to take the lead during that time. So it's important that you not only know where to get information for bushfires, but also for storms and flooding events as well. And so the SES are the main people for that kind of information. We acknowledge that actually putting out information is just as important as putting out the fire. And these days we tend to be judged just as much as whether we get a fire truck there or not, as long as along with the actual how much information we're putting out. But I'll just show you as well with fire danger ratings and levels what you can expect at some of those different times as we get fires across this summer and this fire season. The best place for information is actually going to be our website. Now hopefully some of you have actually visited the website or know where to actually jump on that website. And just so I give you a little bit of expectation, that will be on the front page of our website during the fire season. Now you'll be able to see there any fires that we are in attendance at will automatically be pushed through to the website, and by that I mean our internal processes, basically when we put something in our internal systems, it is pushed automatically to the RFS website. So there's no delay in it, there's no checking before we go, yes, that's what we actually want to tell people about. But basically it is pushed automatically to the website. So you'll notice there that those fires are all blue diamonds, and that is what we call an advice fire. So these are fires quite often not actually burning near anything, or they might be burning close to people, but they're not actually posing a threat. So you will, over the course of the summer, see a lot of these fires pop up and then sometimes disappear. But once they start moving towards what we know as either a watch and act or emergency warning, they're the ones that we need you to sit up and take note of. But on this screen as well, you'll notice that you can actually zoom down onto a particular incident. Now this is what we know as situation awareness. This is what we want you to have. So if there is a fire close to you, if you zoom down onto that fire, just using that little plus or minus or scrolling on your mouse, you'll actually be able to zoom down onto that fire. Now if we've mapped that fire, by that I mean either with a helicopter or by the crews on the ground, it will show you the burnt area. This is not a going fire edge. Okay, so this is the area that it has already burnt. But it gives you a little bit of an idea of the extent of that fire, and if it's running hard on basically those really bad days, so those days where we're getting strong northwesterly winds and those hot temperatures, you will see a bit of a pattern or more or less a triangle as that fire starts to spread and spread through the landscape. You'll be able to just click on that and you'll see some basic information for this particular fire, the area that it's burning in, the size of the fire so far. And these are really good fires to watch, especially if we're going to move into a little bit of a dry period. So next week, we're going to start to see the temperature start to rise again. Thankfully, we haven't got many fires in the landscape today, and we've had a little bit of rain in areas. It's not enough to quell the fire season completely, but it's bought us some time. Over the last couple of months, especially in New South Wales, it's been incredibly dry. If we didn't get that rain, we were in a really, really bad position. There's still some areas of concern, especially those really from Sydney and down into the south coast that remain very dry. We really haven't had that rainfall. But other places like in the far north, we've had a considerable amount, so it's a little bit, we're in a bit better place than we were. Now just quickly, On the top right-hand side, you'll see that little layers or that hamburger sort of little thing. You can actually flip the image into a satellite mode. Now, where this might be good for you, if you're not used to being in an area, or if you're visiting an area, this will give you a little bit of an indication of the vegetation that fire is burning in. Because fires react very differently depending on that vegetation. To give you a bit of an idea, things burning in bush or pine forest will tend to create huge amounts of flame, very tall flames, and very big, what we know as spotting. Now, spotting is those little bits of burning material floating on the wind and landing ahead of the fire and giving us new fires. So when it burns in forest or pine, that's what we can get. Grass fires though, we don't tend to get large spotting, but we actually get fires that can move around about 3 times as quick as a normal bushfire. So it's not unusual under the worst conditions to actually see fires moving sometimes at 25 kilometres an hour under strong winds. So it's competing, obviously. Yes, you get faster fires under grassland conditions, but obviously in forest fires you can get spotting. And to give you a bit of an indication of the worst types of spotting, in the Victorian Royal Commission there was evidence given of spot fires occurring up to 32 kilometres ahead of the main fire front. So that is the worst conditions, that is catastrophic conditions, and obviously we try and promote those kind of days as well through the media, through our apps and our public information on those kind of days. You can also filter out currently as well particular incidents depending on what you want to see. So if there's a lot of fire in the landscape, you might actually choose to actually just look at those that are watching active emergency warning, and that's just by clicking on the filter button on our website. Now, importantly as well, you'll notice there it states on the top little bar there when that map last refreshed. Why is that important? Because there was evidence, once again, the Victorian Royal Commission, people sitting at home at least with the website open, but before that they never actually hit refresh and it didn't automatically refresh. So they were never aware of incidents outside. So that map will automatically refresh now. So it is a good idea just to look at it, have it open even on a bad day, or refer to it actually quite often. Now that information is replicated on our apps called Fires Near Me. Hopefully you have this on your phone. If you don't as well, it is a good idea that you have it on your phone. Now every state will have a form of firefighting information or a fire app. Why this is really good? Because if you are travelling around the countryside and you do notice a fire or you do see some smoke, by opening this app you will see if we're aware of it. Now, just as a tip, because it happens every now and then, if you do come across something on your travels and you do see a fire against the side of the road and it's not on the app, please call 000. Okay, because we may not actually be aware of that actual incident, because it is not unusual to see people travelling on major highways and they think someone else is going to call you. Someone else will call you. So it's important that actually by going into that app, if we're aware of it, you'll be able to see it. Again, you'll actually see how far away you are from that incident. So if you're not used to that area, by clicking on there, you'll see how far you are from your current position, how far you are from that. There are some more things coming with this app, but it is quite raw in what it offers. By that I mean, because we need to ensure that it's stable, especially on those really bad days when everyone's hitting it for information. So it will long-term be able to provide potentially some push notifications, and you'll be able to set alert areas. So for your home, relatives' home, or especially if you're travelling or camping, a pin on that map that then at least you say, if a fire starts within 20 kilometres of me, please tell me about that fire. But it's important that you don't always rely on a single source of information. By that I mean also, we do use a lot of social media, and you can play a role. The main accounts that we use are Twitter and Facebook, because that's the accounts that most people use. Do we have many people using Twitter in the room? Anyone used to it? Okay, brilliant. Facebook? Okay. Anyone on Instagram? Do you Instagram? Brilliant. Okay, just quickly. Facebook and Twitter are the main ones that we use to push information out. But if there is what we call a major fire update, so an incident with significant information, there will be a link back to our public website. because we call our websites the main source or the single source of information. And as you can all recognise, especially when it comes to social media, there's a lot of noise on there. Because it's not unusual to get advice from someone sitting at a desk in Scotland how to best fight our fires. So we want to ensure that we can actually push you back to that main source of information, but where you can play a role. If you are sitting somewhere or visiting somewhere and you can see a large plume of smoke, and yes, you may see it as an incident on our public website or on our social media, share us an image. Because we can tell a lot by the colour of the smoke, how high the smoke is. And share that image, either direct messages, or if you're on Twitter and you may be used to using Twitter, use our hashtag or our handle and push that information to us, because it helps. And we have in the past as well, especially on those bad days where we do tell people, don't expect a fire truck, okay? Don't always expect the information, but you may be able to provide us a little bit of good information that we don't have. So please, be aware of that. We use a range of different things depending on actually during the fires where you can actually go and get information on. I just want to touch on two very quickly. The first is emergency alert. And this is where we can send a message to your phone. Okay, you don't have to sign up for this. We can define an area and push a message to your phone as a text message. Some of you may have received it during the catastrophic fire danger, telling you we're in an area of catastrophic fire danger. But if we push you into some information, please read it and follow it. The other one that you may hear if you're travelling as well is SOOS. Now, SOOS is not used a lot in New South Wales, but it's that tone, that boop, boop, that we actually quite often hear during cyclone events. If you hear it, stop and listen to it. Okay? So, finally, don't always rely on one single source of information. If you see something on Twitter or if you see something on Facebook, go and have a look at the website as well. Make sure that you've got Fires Near Me or the equivalent app loaded onto your smart device across this fire season. If you're travelling, know the fire danger in the area that you're actually travelling to, because that may determine what you may do for that day. So if you've got a bushwalk plan or something like that, and there's actually potentially extreme fire danger or even worse, catastrophic fire danger, you may want to actually postpone that kind of activity. Most importantly, each of you as well need to have a plan. If you're visiting bushfire-prone area, or if you live in bushfire-prone area, you need to have a plan and you need to discuss it with your family and have that plan B and C. And by that I mean, have an idea if the family unit is disbanded or spread across that particular day. If someone's gone to Bunnings, if someone's gone to town, or the kids aren't there, you need to know what you're going to do in the event that fire threat.